On the road to MotoGP, this is FAB-Racing.
So we're here with Rossi Banham, rider in the British Talent Cup, and also here on the Pitbike 140s. Rossi, what brings you to FAB?
Practicing seat time.
We've seen you've had some seat time already today. How's it going?
Really good. I love the track. It's amazing. It's nice and flowy.
Also away from FAB-Racing, you've bagged a new team over in the British Talent Cup. Just talk us through how you got that.
They've been watching me for ages, and it just kind of came by the blue. I didn't know it was going to happen, and then they literally just asked me, "Do you want to ride a Moto 3?" So I was like, "Yeah."
You've had a go on the bike already. What was it like?
It was a lot lighter than a Yamaha R3. Went into the first corner and just threw it in like I would the normal, and it just nearly crashed because it was really light. It was amazing.
So compared to, obviously, because you were competing in the junior Supersport class before on the R3, what's the sort of the difference between the Moto 3 and what you were riding before?
Top end and the lightness of the bike is just a lot better, and a nice stable because it's a GP frame. It's not a commuter bike.
So what do you have to do now to adapt your style to that different style of riding?
Seat time, and just watch how the others do it.
Awesome. Well, we wish you the best of luck this weekend. Go out there and have some fun.
Thank you.
I'm here with reigning PB 140 champion Jamie King. Jamie, coming into the new 2021 season, how are you feeling?
A bit nervous. Yeah, I've been given a brand new bike by Pitbike Parts, Moto. And yeah, a bit nervous that I've got to get used to a new bike after running my old bike for so many years now. But yeah, looking forward to the new challenge. I know maybe the results are not going to come straight away, but hopefully we can get the bike set up the way I like it, and I'll be up the front, hopefully, maybe the end of this weekend, hopefully maybe next one at Landau. We'll just have to see.
And we saw last season for you, it was pretty much consistency was key in when it came to picking up the points in the championship. So obviously same again this year.
Yeah, it's going to be even more vital this year because sadly a lot of the BSB rounds are going to clash with our rounds. So sadly people like Rossi and Charlie and that, they're not going to be at every round. So even this season is probably even more key. But you are going to have fast riders at every round like Taylor, Chris, Reese. So there's going to be a lot of quick boys there who I'm going to have to beat every week. But we'll just see how it goes.
And as you said, new bike this season. Tell us a little bit more about it. It's looking very nice.
Yeah, it's a Moto Pitbike 140. It's got the new Gen 4 engine. That's what I'm having to get used to the most. The gear ratio is a lot different to my old bike. So we're mucking about with gearing, trying to get that right. But yeah, it's just a standard 140 engine, the same as what it has to be for all the riders out there. But yeah, I've really enjoyed riding the bike. We're just trying to find those few attempts to get us back to the front of the grid.
Gotta love those Minimotos. But yeah, as you say, and also moving into a Moto team class as well. So I won't ask you too much about the bike, but yeah, what's the idea behind two classes this season?
Well, I thought, seems my old bike's just sitting there and someone's given me a 140. I thought, well, we might as well put a 125 engine in it and give it a go. And that's been a real problem at the moment because I think there's one other Pitbike 140, 125 out there. Or Pitbike 125, shall I say. And I've had nothing to get set up on at all. So we're mucking about with carburation. It finally is running right now. But now we're trying to set up gearing and things like that. Because once again, that's totally different to the 140. So, but yeah, I just thought there's no point in having a bike sitting there. So I thought we'll give the Moto team class a go as well.
Well, can't wait to see you in both. Looking forward to it. Good luck this season. Good luck this weekend.
Cheers, lads. Thank you very much.
You might hear the world start to get a little bit louder because we're about to get some action from the bigger bikes, from the Pitbike 140s. They're going to make their way out on circuit, and it's going to be a whole heap of them. Well, 34 bikes we're going to have out on circuit, and well, you never ever know what you're going to get from the pit bikes. They always put on a good show, and it's going to be loud, it's going to be frenetic, it's going to be crazy, it's going to be a good race.
It always is from these guys. There's so many bikes on this grid that we always see some bar bashing, some action, some brilliant overtaking. And it is Taylor Lawrence at the front of this, who yesterday dominated a little bit, which isn't something we're used to seeing in the Pitbike 140 class. Normally it's a big battle for that win. It was for a few laps, but then Taylor Lawrence checked out, hit his markers, and did a brilliant job. But and it is going to be Taylor Lawrence who is going to line up on that pole position. on this absolutely stacked grid ahead of the number 93 of Harrison Crosby. The number 62 of Chris Wells, he lines up in third ahead of Ollie Walker, then on the number 48 Pitbike 140. Number 196 Rossi Banham, British Talent Cup rider, he lines up in fifth ahead of GP 70 2020 champion Lucas Brown in sixth. Reece Peacock in seventh. Ryan Hitchcock, the number 43, he lines up in eighth ahead of Pitbike 140 champion from last year, number 76 Jamie King in ninth. Darren Anderson, he lines up in 10th place on this grid ahead of the number 21 of Marco Pandolfo in 11th, who rode a brilliant ride yesterday. Number 52 Evan Belford, he took a win in the Extreme 200s yesterday and lines up in 12th place on this grid ahead of Callum Wybrow, Nathan Riggy, Kevin Gritton rounding out the top 15 on row 8. Rounding out row 8 is the number 151 of Tom Stanford ahead of Giorgio Scarlata in 17th, and in 18th is the number 92 of Elliot Crosby. In 19th place it is the number 14 of Jack Andrews ahead of Adam Redding. And looking a bit further back on my second page here on the Pitbike 140 grid, the number 142 of Matthew Lindley ahead of Nick Shaw, Adam Sweeney in 23rd, James Curtis in 24th. The number 7 of Ian Jackson, we'll see him in the Moto team later on, in 25th place on the grid ahead of Max Perry. The number 111 of Roger Monks in 27th. In 28th is Edan Katz ahead of the number 80 of Matt Edwards in 29th. 30th went to Andrew Graham ahead of Keaton Payne, Aston Gilson, Dave Glover and Callum Foster, rounding out the grid in 34th place on the 17th row of the grid.
And you can take a break from the grid. We will take that one in turns. It does take a while to get through what is an absolutely, as you say, stacked grid here in the PB140s. Just coming back, and we have to mention Jamie King, reigning champion, of course, in the Pitbike 140s, took the championship last season, only starting in 9th place on row 5. The race did not go his way yesterday, not managing to pick up any points. Well, can he do anything about it today? However, it will be Taylor Lawrence leading from pole position. And Taylor, after losing the lead off the start to Harrison Crosby and Chris Wells, managed to fight his way back through, took that race win and started off the season in pretty sensational fashion with a couple of blistering final laps to put in putting a pretty decent gap between himself and Chris Wells. And Chris Wells, who was leading for the majority of yesterday's race, did a great start from P3, scythed through between Harrison Crosby and Taylor Lawrence, just didn't quite have enough to get to the end.
Yeah, a little bit of back markers played a big part in yesterday's race as well. It was all about who could carve through the back markers the quickest, because of course so many bikes on this grid, and with these kart circuits only being so long, you're bound to get a little bit of traffic in these Pitbike 140 races. So whoever can carve their way through that traffic the quickest is going to be who takes the win. But it can't take anything away from Taylor Lawrence, who took the win yesterday. Absolute masterclass from him as number 196 there, Rossi Banham, little bit of a stoppie onto the grid. He's ready to go, and he's going to need a good start from back there on the grid. Chris Wells lining up on the number 62 in third place, and you can see Taylor Lawrence just having a look back on the grid. He's got no one in front of him there. He is on pole position. Yesterday's race winner, pole position for this race. He's going to be looking to pick up another 25 points here in race 2 for the Pitbike 140s. Of course, another race for these guys later on today, and 3 more tomorrow in round 2 for the FAB-Racing Minibike British Championships. But their sights are set on race 2 for the Pitbike 140s. They look to the lights for the second time in 2021, and they're away. It's a wheelie off the start for Harrison Crosby, and a good start again there for Chris Wells up into second place. They're all changing direction there. Lucas Brown up a few places there. Rossi Banham's lost a couple. Evan Belford looking up the inside. There's bikes absolutely everywhere. I don't know where to look.
Yeah, this is what you get with the pit bike races. They are always absolutely crazy. But you can see everyone's made their way around the first few corners, all relatively scot-free. So that's great to see as Taylor Lawrence holds on to the lead of this one. Much better start compared to yesterday's opening round. But onto the back straight for the first time, Taylor Lawrence with a bit of an advantage over the second place, the 62 of Chris Wells, who had once again another great launch off that line into P2. And it's now Ollie Walker in P3. Rossi Banham is still fighting over the top 5 positions. They come across the line for the first time. Taylor Lawrence from Chris Wells. Lucas Brown's now has made his way up into third place. So of course, last season's MKGP 70 champion up in a P3 position. Great start from Lucas.
Yeah, really good start from Lucas Brown there from a little bit further back on the grid. He was 6th on the grid, so to be up into that position, that's brilliant for him now. Evan Belford, you can also see, looks menacing on that Pitbike 140. Rossi Banham there all over the rear wheel of Evan Belford as well. So any of these guys could be up there. Loads of British Talent Cup names, the likes of Crosby, Brown, you've got Belford in there, Banham, so many British Talent Cup riders. Ollie Walker as well on the number 48. He's British Talent Cup rider, and of course past front runner in the GP70s as well. Of course, all these guys come up through the GP70s over to the British Talent Cup and now are back for a little bit of fun on these Pitbike 140s. Lucas Brown looking to the inside, Belford looking to the inside. There's only so much tarmac and only so many Pitbike 140s you can squeeze.
Yeah, and I think what's great for these guys is, as you say, so many of them have made their way through to the British Talent Cup paddock, is they come back to FAB, and yes, it is training, and yes, it's a little bit of work for them, some seat time in between seasons. However, you do not want to be beaten by anyone else who's on that BTC grid alongside you. They all want to beat each other. As you see Lucas Brown lifting the front tyre, going down onto the back straight, really putting the power down, trying to stay on the back of Chris Wells. In second place, Taylor Lawrence, however, is doing a great job at the moment, going purple that time around, 43.729, a tenth of a second faster than Chris Wells. However, the gap at the front is only half a second behind. They've got a bit of a gap. It's 2.1 seconds back to Lucas Brown, who's desperately trying to hold off about 4 or 5 different bikes.
He's swapping positions non-stop. Lucas Brown just falling back a little bit. Rossi Banham trying to take the tighter line there as they go down into the next one is Rossi Banham. He's got the inside line, but Lucas Brown around the outside. He's not letting him through at all. These guys swapping positions constantly. Ollie Walker with a beautiful move slightly earlier on in the race as well, going down the back straight into the final corner for the 3rd time. Taylor Lawrence just in a class of his own out the front. Almost half a second lead over Chris Wells. Fastest lap of the race a couple of laps ago. Coming through this sector now. A little bit of lap traffic already in this one. Ollie Walker now right onto the rear wheel of Harrison Crosby.
Yeah, Harrison, who's trying to stay involved in this battle, but it is Taylor Lawrence leading from Chris Wells. Chris Wells, who once again having a really, really good start. But Taylor Lawrence, where's this form come from? Because we saw at the end of last season, it was a bit patchy from Taylor. He didn't quite have it in some races, but really turned it on here at Lydd, first round of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Come out the block completely flying. He's matching Taylor Lawrence, who we know is a proven front runner at this grid, and that is a big collision on the final corner between Harrison Crosby and Ollie Walker. That is a massive crash at the final corner. Hopefully, though, both those guys are okay, but back to the guys still on. It is Evan Belford who is now up ahead of Lucas Brown. That is the battle for 3rd place, about 5 seconds back from Chris Wells, who's up there in 2nd. And that is Ollie Walker just walking to the side of the track. Perhaps a little bit winded there from Ollie Walker, but up and okay. Yeah,
and we've got a ride on the infield in the second sector of the lap as well, coming on to turn 5. So yellow flags are out. Of course, everyone's got to respect the no overtaking around that corner. So everyone's just having to take stock a little bit. But Rossi Banham still chasing down so many Lucas Brown and Evan Belford. Now Rossi Banham, who was slapping the back of the bike, giddy up, let's get this going. And he's chasing down, trying to get past. But once again, like with the pit bikes, we see every single race, there is so much going on throughout the order. It's not just the front that are fighting, all down the order. We've seen 3 wide. We've got three riders fighting over 12th place, going 3 wide down the back straight. But yeah, it's great to see Taylor Lawrence still leading by 6/10 of a second. They've got a 5.3 second advantage over Evan Belford, who's now made his way up into 3rd place.
Yeah, and brilliant stuff from Chris Wells and Taylor Lawrence. Chris doing all he can to try and stay on the back of Taylor Lawrence. Of course, these guys, Pitbike 140 specialists, but these guys slightly further back, 5.3 seconds back, in fact. These guys all British Talent Cup riders and trying to get one on each other before they start their British Talent Cup campaign. Looking really close on the rear wheel of Lucas Brown was Rossi Banham trying to make his way through. They are 3 abreast as they go through the first chicane, heading down into the second one. Lucas Brown has the inside line. No way through for Rossi Banham. There's pit bikes everywhere.
How those 6 wheels are still planted to the tarmac is beyond me. They were 3 wide on the exit of the first chicane. And you could see Rossi just having to put a leg out just to balance himself, but he's still back on the pace, back in the race, and right in the fight for this one. He's fighting for a podium. Evan Belford isn't too far ahead. Lucas Brown equally involved in this one. Lucas would love to take a podium in the pit bikes, but down goes this. Lucas Brown has gone down at final corner. Contact between himself and Rossi Banham. It just unbalanced Lucas, unfortunately, into the gravel. You can see he's going to try and get back into the race, but just a desperation move there from Rossi. It's put Lucas Brown on the deck.
Yeah, and 8 laps into this 11-lap race. That is not what the number 29 of Lucas Brown will have wanted. Just got tagged slightly there by Rossi Banham. Unfortunately, racing incident there, as Rossi now has his sights set on Evan Belford. He tries to get that pit bike 140 restarted and into this race, but it is about these two now. He is all over the rear wheel of Belford. What can Rossi Banham do? Is he going to have a look into the final corner on lap 8? Not quite. Yellow flags down there, of course, for the crash earlier on with Lucas Brown. Battles all through this field as we see riders swapping positions.
Yeah, as they are indeed, but is Taylor Lawrence still leading this one? However, the gap now 2.5 seconds as they start 3 laps left to go. Taylor Lawrence with a comfortable lead ahead of Chris Wells. Evan Belford now with Rossi Banham all over the back of him. Darren Anderson in 5th. Ryan Hitchcock has made his way up to 6th, past Jamie King, who's made a couple of positions up from the start of this one. Reece Peacock in 8th with Marco Bandolfo. Another great race there for Marco in 9th place at the moment. Callum Wybrow just about holding off Jack Andrews in 10th and 11th position. Tom Stanford in 12th, Kevin Gritton, Nathan Riggy and Giorgio Scalata are your top 15 in this crazy second race of the season of the Pitbike 140s.
Yeah, absolutely manic race in this Pitbike 140 race, and now loads of lap traffic for these guys to get through. It's going to be a challenge to pick out which ones are Evan and Rossi, but they go. One goes to the outside, one goes to the inside, and they make their way through on the lap traffic. Rossi Banham still on the rear wheel of Evan Belford. This battle for third really hotting up nicely. Both of these guys getting through, carving through the field equally as quickly, and Rossi's going to be trying to look to take advantage of the back markers as much as he can to see if he can use it to get through on Evan, but they're looking so close here. 10 laps down in this one. Taylor Lawrence has checked out at the front. 3.7 seconds he has over Chris Wells, and Chris Wells another 3 seconds ahead of these guys as they're so close as they go through the final few corners. And they've caught Chris Wells now, because Chris Wells is just in front of this back marker. That is the number 42 a bit further back, but now this is now the battle for second. They have caught the number 62.
Yeah, and this is the final lap of the race. Taylor Lawrence is leading it with a pretty comfortable margin, 5.8 seconds behind. The battle is very much now on for second place. Chris Wells, Evan Belford, Rossi Banham. Rossi Banham is currently off the podium. He wants it. He's going to sit behind the pair of them. However, Taylor Lawrence is about to come around. The number 10 is about to come and take his second win on the season. And Taylor will have truly deserved this one. It's been a brilliant race. But on the back straight, you can see it's all happening. Down the back straight goes Chris Wells, Evan Belford and Rossi Banham. But up to the line will come Taylor Lawrence, and he's going to be an absolutely superbly second-time winner here. Behind, it's going to go Evan Belford, Chris Wells, Rossi Banham on the line, split by less than 3.5 tenths of a second. What a race there in the pit bikes.
Yeah, brilliant move at the final corner there from Evan Belford to take second place away from Chris Wells. Just a shame that we missed that one. Rossi Banham in 4th. Ryan Hitchcock comes across the line in 5th ahead of Darren Anderson. Jamie King, last year's champion, in 7th. Reece Peacock 8th. Marco Bandolfo 9th. Jack Andrews on the number 14 in 10th. And that is your top 10 for the Pitbike 140s. Harrison Crosby just comes round to congratulate some of the other riders there. Of course, Crosby going down earlier on in that incident with the number 48 of Ollie Walker. The last corner just playing victim to a couple of the riders. Yeah,
and a couple of the big hitters in the race as well. Ollie Walker, of course, going down. Lucas Brown with after contact with Rossi Banham. And of course, Harrison Crosby involved in that contact early on. That big crash between the Ollie Walker and Harrison Crosby. Luckily, both of them up and okay, walking off into the paddock. But yeah, what a race for the pit bikes. Exactly what we wanted to see here on a Saturday morning. So don't worry, they'll be back for another 4 races this weekend. So you've got plenty more time to see some pit bikes on circuit. But it was Taylor Lawrence that got a great launch off the line. Second position, Chris Wells coming from 3rd, straight past Harrison Crosby. Brilliant start once again from Chris Wells. But onto the back straight, you can see it was chaos. Bikes absolutely everywhere, and some really decent overtaking moves. Maybe not some great other ones, but on the back straight you could see the contact there between Harrison Crosby and Ollie Walker. A big hit, both riders down on the deck into the gravel, and well, so much you can see there, having to balance themselves 3 wide on the exit of turn 1. That is not something we've seen all weekend.
Yeah, it's something that reminds us a little bit of the Pitbike 140s last year, and this was the move that took number 29 Lucas Brown out of the race. Just a slight racing incident there between Rossi, Banham and Lucas Brown, but it was Taylor Lawrence that took that victory. Checked out, we didn't see much of him, but he took that victory ahead of Evan Belford and Chris Wells as they just give each other a fist bump at the end of this one. Brilliant victory from Taylor Lawrence. That's 2 wins from 2. Marco Bandolfo, he lines up in 11th ahead of Evan Belford in 12th. Callum Wybrow, Nathan Riggy and Kevin Gritton round out your top 15 ahead of Tom Stanford, Jojo Scalata, Elliot Crosby, Jack Andrews and Adam Redding rounding out the top 20. 21st goes to Matthew Lindley ahead of Nick Shaw, 22nd place on the grid ahead of Adam Sweeney, James Curtis and Ian Jackson rounding out your top 5. The number 42 of Max Perry is 26th ahead of Roger Monks, Eden Katz, Matt Edwards, Andrew Graham round out your top 30 on the number 343 bike. Number 112 of Keaton Payne is 31st ahead of Aston Gilson, Dave Glover and Callum Foster rounding out your 34 rider grid here for the Pitbike 140s.
And it takes an entire lap to read out the grid. That's how many there are. It is an absolutely fantastic sight to see all these bikes there out on the circuit. They make a lot of noise, they're a lot of fun, and they're about to go out for their 3rd race of the round, the 3rd and final of race 1, and it's going to be Taylor Lawrence that's going to be looking to the lights, getting ready to go for this one. Can he take another win this weekend? He's been in brilliant form since arriving here at Lydd. Harrison Crosby, will he make up for that fall in race 2? You could see, surely he's going to have the fire in his eyes knowing that he made that slight error. Will he be able to get the launch off the line going into T1 as he takes a quick look down at the bike, making sure that everything is ready to go? Rossi Banham, he had an eventful race 2. What can he do? He'll be lining up just a little bit further back on row 3, and well, this one can go anywhere, and it usually does, but it will be Taylor Lawrence on pole position as everyone is making their way into their right grid slots. It's very hard to do when you've got a 35 bike grid, as you see everyone just trying to find the right place. But yeah, race 3 of the weekend for the Pitbike 140s. There we go. There's a word in there somewhere. Taylor Lawrence getting ready. Oh, there's a little bit of a jump start there for the 196 of Rossi Banham, but it looks as though he's just about managed to hold back. But it's good start for Taylor Lawrence. In fact, he's just dropped back a little bit. It's a Harrison Crosby, however, trying to sweep around the outside into T2.
Yeah, and it's Chris Wells who's taken the lead there from 3rd place on the grid. Another brilliant start from Chris Wells. We saw him with really good starts earlier on in race 2 as well. Looking back, further back, Giorgio Scalata in there as well. Loads of these riders, Callum Wybrow as well. We can see plenty of riders battling out all the way through this field, but it is Chris Wells that leads the pack ahead of Taylor Lawrence. Harrison Crosby in 3rd, Lucas Brown in 4th, Evan Belford in 5th, Rossi Banham in 6th. All these guys coming wheel for wheel. A little bit of smoke coming off the back of one of the bikes there. We'll have to see what happens there, but it's Chris Wells still leading ahead of Taylor Lawrence and Harrison Crosby.
Yeah, it's a great start from Chris Wells. Once again, he seems to have mastered these starts here at Lydd. He's managed to make his way up into the lead in all 3 races, and it currently leads this one away from Taylor Lawrence, Harrison Crosby, Evan Belford, Rossi Banham and Lucas Brown, who got overtaken by Rossi on that last lap, drops down to 6th place. Ryan Hitchcock now up into 7th. Darren Anderson, Reece Peacock and Jamie King are your top 10 runners currently, as we see a couple of changes position there. It looks as though we've got a bike issue for, I couldn't see which number that was, but one of the leaders.
Yeah, a big wobble there from Evan Belford was just allowed. Number 196 of Rossi Banham through, bike towards the side of the track, so we'll have to see what happens there as 3 abreast. Jamie King tries to make a move through. Reece Peacock as well trying to make a move through there. And there's 3 abreast going through the final corner. Can't quite pick out which one's which. But there, another move made up for the number 76 of Jamie King. He makes up his way through ahead of Darren Anderson. Reece Peacock also making his way through there. Ryan Hitchcock is in 6th place, another British Talent Cup rider. This grid is just absolutely packed full of British Talent Cup riders.
Yeah, and it's perfect for them to come back down. As we've been talking about so much this weekend so far, it is perfect for them. Get some seat time, get some time in, ready to be heading over to the big tracks very, very shortly as they go back to the BSB paddock. And the BTC is a perfect place for them to be in their start as they go towards towards MotoGP, of course, in the BSB. But as they go down the back straight, Chris Wells trying to hold off Taylor Lawrence as they go on to their third lap, and Taylor Lawrence with the fastest lap, and we're 44.1. In fact, that's just been taken by Rossi Banham, who does a 43.6. So Rossi Banham really starting to turn the screw now, up to 4th place, 1.2 seconds off the lead.
Yeah, really good lap there from Rossi Banham, quicker than the pole time from Taylor Lawrence earlier on. As these guys swap in positions, that's Reece Peacock, Darren Anderson and Jamie King still battling it out. That is the battle going on a bit further back. That is the battle for 7th place, with your Pitbike 140 2020 champion in there as well. And of course, Moto team winner from earlier, Jamie King sticks up the inside of Reece Peacock. But at the front, there's a 3-way battle for the lead going on, 4-way battle for the lead going on here, as they're 4 abreast going into the final corner. Heading on to complete one more lap of this race. It is the 62 of Chris Wells leading ahead of Taylor Lawrence, Harrison Crosby and Rossi Banham still with that fastest lap, and incredibly consistent. The last 2 laps from Rossi Banham, both 43.6s, so sets the fastest lap of the race and does it twice for good measure.
The top 4 coming across the line, split by less than half a second, so that is how close.
That's Reece Peacock that's gone down. He was battling away with Jamie King and Darren Anderson earlier on, so unfortunately that's the number 29 down and out of this race.
Yeah, so he's just about managing to get it restarted, back off into the action. We'll see if he's still trying to get that kick started to get back in the race, but that's going to cost him a heap of points. But it is still Chris Wells leading from Taylor Lawrence, Harrison Crosby and Rossi Banham. Rossi, as you say, starting to put in some really consistent 43s. The only rider currently holding on to some decent 43s. In fact, this time around, he's matched by Harrison Crosby, and in fact beaten. Taylor Lawrence now is starting to really put the pressure on Chris Wells. The gap across the line was 0.07 of a second, and Taylor Lawrence is looking for another decent result to open his account in the Pitbike 140s. Reigning champion Jamie King is only in 8th place at the moment on that new bike. He's really starting to struggle with it. As you can see, there's a little bit of contact, elbows out. We're almost 3 wide around the sweeping bends as they start to make their way around some lap traffic, and this is where it starts to get chaotic, isn't it, Trystan? As soon as the traffic starts to come into the fray, this is where these guys start to make their moves that are perhaps a little bit bolder than what they should do.
That whole section, I had my breath held for the whole time because I had no idea how that was going to end. They were all trying to make their way through on the back marker whilst changing direction and just trying to attack each other at the same time. I genuinely didn't think all those bikes were going to make it out of that section, but they somehow managed it. Rossi Banham all the way on the back wheel of Harrison Crosby now, as those 2 British Talent Cup riders, but it's the Pitbike 140 specialists out the front, Chris Wells and Taylor Lawrence. Rossi Banham still has that fastest lap of the race, but all these guys completely matched for pace, even when carving through the back markers. A little bit of a front 2 breakaway here, but not a massive one, and nothing to worry about just yet. Harrison Crosby will be able to get back onto the rear wheel of Taylor Lawrence. Taylor Lawrence, a lot of smoke coming off the rear of his bike, and as Chris Wells just puts a back marker between him and Taylor Lawrence, but Taylor just manages to get right around the outside of him as well. There is no move that these guys cannot make. Harrison Crosby now trying to get back in with these guys. Looks like Rossi Banham has just lost out a little bit from that back marker as well, so these guys just need to make sure that they're carving through these back markers as quick as each other. Harrison Crosby has a little look to the inside of Taylor Lawrence, can't quite make a move stick there. He's going to try and eye one up for the back straight. He's going to have to do it there if he's going to make one stick. Only a few laps left in this one.
Yeah, Taylor Lawrence with the bit between his teeth as he looks to get another win here in the Pitbike 140s. Once again, smoke billowing out the back of that bike as they come onto this one, but it is the 62 of Chris Wells, the 10 of Taylor Lawrence, 93 of Harrison Crosby, and the 196 of Rossi Banham, all fighting over position as they start to make their way through that lap traffic. Taylor Lawrence once again just about managing to catch himself from clipping the rear tyre of Chris Wells, who's just about holding on to the lead of this one. Chris has had some really decent starts so far, but hasn't been able to translate it into a race win. Taylor Lawrence is desperately trying to make sure he doesn't do it this time.
Yeah, and they're just fending off the 2 British Talent Cup riders of Harrison Crosby and Rossi Banham. Will these guys be able to take the win? Plenty of time left in this race for them to be able to do it, as Harrison Crosby has a look up the inside of the final corner, almost makes contact at the final corner. Really close stuff there from Harrison Crosby. Taylor Lawrence just closed the door, and that's just unrattled him slightly, because it looks as if Rossi Banham was just having a look. Did he manage to make a move on Harrison Crosby? Not quite sure, but he's definitely a little bit rattled there because he's lost quite a bit of time onto the back of Taylor Lawrence now. How
these 4 bikes are still pointing the right direction is beyond me. This is absolutely brilliant racing from all 4 of them, and Rossi Banham starting to put the nail in on You can see Harrison Crosby. Harrison, who of course went down in race 2. Rossi Banham had a decent result. He needs to get past Harrison if he wants a podium this time around. Harrison Crosby with the fastest lap of the race, a 43.370, is around about a tenth of a second faster than anyone else. But Taylor Lawrence still on the back of Chris Wells. We go on to start. 2 laps left to go, the penultimate lap of this one, and Taylor Lawrence has got a good run out of the first chicane. He's going to try and go down the inside into the second, but not quite close enough. You can see Chris just hugging that inside line, taking every single apex, and Taylor's going to have to go the long way round if he's going to get this one. You can see just trying to get that front tyre in, just to try and, you know what, edge out Chris Wells a little bit. But Chris, very calm, very collected, just putting that bike in all the right places.
A lap and a half left to go, and you wouldn't put your money on any of these guys, because any of these four riders at the front could take this win. Harrison Crosby has a look down into the final corner once again. Does he make the move stick? Can't quite make it stick. Taylor Lawrence closes the door. Will he try into turn 1? He's having a go, and he makes it stick. He sits up Taylor Lawrence into turn 1. This is the final lap. Just one more lap for these guys to navigate their way. Who's going to have it? Will it be Chris Wells? Will it be Harrison Crosby? Will it be Taylor Lawrence, or will it be Rossi Banham? It could be any of these 4. They're coming up to some lap traffic. Will the lap traffic help any of these guys or hinder any of them as they head into the next section? Are they all going to make it through? Harrison Crosby makes it through. Taylor Lawrence makes it through. That's going to hinder Rossi Banham. Rossi is down and out of this one. It's now between these final 3 as they go on to the back straight for the final time of asking. There's plenty of back markers in there, but it's going to be Chris Wells that holds on to it, it looks like. And Harrison Crosby now up into second place. And it's going to be Chris Wells that takes a tremendous victory ahead of Harrison Crosby and Taylor Lawrence in third, Rossi Banham in fourth. 1, 2, 3, 4, just as you like.
Oh, pit bike action is so good, isn't it? It's so good. The top 4 coming across the line, split by a second. Taylor Lawrence misses out on second place by 0.07 of a second. Harrison Crosby misses out on the win by 0.5 of a second. Oh, we love to see it. We love to see it. What a race. Chris Wells finally gets that win that surely his starts have deserved so far this round. And Taylor Lawrence, well, like you say, Harrison Crosby just sat him up going into first corner, as we've got a rider down on the final lap, just getting back onto their feet. And but behind them, Rossi Banham lost out. He was the rider that lost out in that traffic. He finished in 4th. Evan Belford in 5th. Ryan Hitchcock 6th. Jamie King recovered back to 7th place. Darren Anderson next. Marco Baldolfo is picking up some seriously decent top 10 finishes here in the PB140. 9th place, and Jack Andrews rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, and that's the number 142 of Matthew Lindley that's unfortunately crashed out towards the end there, and really unfortunate end to his race. Not the way you want to end round 1, but a brilliant end to round 1 for the number 62 of Chris Wells. A brilliant victory, non-stop bar bashing, non-stop position changing. We couldn't even keep track of what was going on half of the time. It was so action-packed. And let's have a look at it again then. The number 10 of Taylor Lawrence got off to a little bit of a rocky start, but it was the number 62 of Chris Wells that had a brilliant start once again. All these guys battled it out all race long. Plenty of British Talent Cup names in there as well. Reece Peacock was battling it out with Jamie King and Darren Anderson. This was the battle slightly further back with the 2020 Pitbike 140 champion, until unfortunately Reece Peacock did crash out of the race, and that was the end to his round 1 here at Lydd. But then it was Chris Wells who was still leading at the front. He made his way through all the back markers, and he beat the British Talent Cup riders. He beat Taylor Lawrence, who won the first 2 races, and he took the final win for round 1 here, race 3 at Lydd Kart Circuit, southeast coast of England. Round 2 tomorrow. More action to come.
Oh, can't wait. Cannot wait. It was absolutely fantastic. You could see how happy Chris was coming across the line, punching the air as he realised, I got this one. I've absolutely deserved this one. But what a morning's racing we've had here.
On the road to MotoGP, this is FAB Racing.